We continue our conversation now with Kim Guadagno, former lieutenant governor. I want to talk about the Katie Brennan case, which is still happening. This is a person that worked for the campaign of Phil Murphy, says she was raped. She then worked for the administration, and they also hired the alleged rapist. And it sounds like this woman did everything you're supposed to do when you're a rape victim. And she did everything you're supposed to do when you have you're at a workplace and you have an uncomfortable situation. She did everything and never got justice and felt like she had to go to the papers. What is your take on this?
Well, you know, you can't believe everything you read in the papers, but you can believe what you saw when she testified. And I've never seen a more credible witness than the witness that testified before the legislative committee. You know, there was no doubt in my mind that she was telling the truth. And you're right, she did follow all the steps immediately after the alleged assault took place, and yet got no justice. And what infuriated me from a political point of view is, if that was a Republican, he'd be out of office already. Whoever, you know, there would be no patience for this. You wouldn't be having legislative hearings. You'd be having recall applications right now, and that to me is what's so unfair. I feel horrible for the victim. Something should be done prosecutorially on the alleged assault, and I hope the legislative hearings continue to go forward and find out what the real truth is. But the hypocrisy in how you handle a Democrat versus how you handle a Republican can't be missed. You can't miss that.
No, it is baffling that there is not national media coverage. You would assume there would be. Even the Wall Street Journal, who broke the story, hasn't been covering it since that happened, and I don't understand the reason for that. But I want to walk you through this since you were a prosecutor and a sheriff. Let's start with the Hudson County prosecutor, Esther Suarez.
Well, I want to stop you there. I never did street crime. I've never prosecuted an assault.
That's okay.
It was federal, and so.
But you still can have an opinion.
I can talk about process. I can't talk about what the prosecutor did or didn't do. All of that is now under a microscope, and we should let the people that are actually on the ground doing that investigation complete a full investigation the way they do it.
Let's take her out of it.
Right.
Let's take her name out of it. Let's even take Katie Brennan out of it. If somebody goes and calls their husband immediately after an incident happens, tells their friends immediately, goes to the hospital.
Does the rape kit. For anybody who knows about a rape kit, it is probably, you know, you've just been victimized, you've just been brutally raped, and then you go to the hospital and you're effectively, and I don't want to say it's the same as a rape, but you're still...
It's invasive.
It is very, very invasive. But
then you go to the police.
Right.
And then you put your trust in the process, and you're told that because the other party says it was consensual and the DNA evidence is a little shaky, we're not going forward.
You know, the prosecutor has a duty to do justice. The prosecutor should not be making an evaluation as to whether or not you're going to win the case. The second a prosecutor goes to I can't win the case, he's asking or she's asking the wrong question. The question is whether or not you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the alleged crime was committed, but also whether you're doing justice. If you believe that this woman was raped, then you have an obligation, win, lose, or draw, to bring the charges, in my opinion.
Now let's go to the governor, because to me this was a slam dunk. You have somebody, especially because you are fighting for women's health issues, and you say that you're enlightened and you're progressive.
Well, they all took positions on Kavanaugh. They all took positions on Kavanaugh.
I'm glad you added that. Then you have someone in your administration say they were raped. You should be acting immediately. Immediately.
Well, they all got up and did the Me Too part. You know, they all got up and said, Me Too, meaning they all have been assaulted at one time or another. Every single person did the Me Too march, and I'm not diminishing the Me Too movement at all, because I agree we need to give women a voice. It's shocking to me the hypocrisy involved in the administration's response.
So now I'm not going to ask you the impossible. What happened? Why didn't they act immediately when it seems like to everyone else such an easy decision?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I hope that these legislative hearings find out the answer to that question and fix it. I hope. I prefer to believe that perhaps the administration didn't have its legs underneath it yet and that they still didn't have a clean line of communication. I prefer to believe that, but let's let the legislative people make that call. I mean,
is it possible that the chief of staff and the chief legislative counsel know about it and the governor doesn't know about something like that?
Something like that? Something like that? I don't know. I don't know the relationship. I don't know the relationship between the governor. I don't know how he set up his office. It would not be possible in an administration that I was involved in. It would not have been possible. It would not have been possible in my office as lieutenant governor. But it depends on how the governor runs his office. It just depends. That's something the governor, this governor or any governor, would have to answer. How do you interact with your chief of staff? How do you interact with your counsel? And quite frankly, if my counsel did not tell me about something of that magnitude, he'd be fired.
When would you make your decision if you're going to run again?
I don't know. That's a good question. Some people are already running.
That's true.
Yeah, and God bless them, because I don't know that people understand how very hard it is. Look, I've run on a statewide basis 3 times. And I do know this, it's a huge sacrifice for your family. It's a huge sacrifice for you physically. And it's a huge endeavor. And it's not just physically getting to where you have to go and seeing the people that you have to see, it's raising the at least $10 million you need to raise in order to be effective. And it's a big challenge. I mean, you don't walk into that without sitting down and spending many, many hours talking to your husband and having him say, do you remember the last time you did this?
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Do you want to give out the information one more time for the 200 Club?
Yes, if anybody is interested in supporting their law enforcement, first responders in Monmouth County, and Ocean County has a 200 Club also, you can go on www.200monmouth.com and make a donation. Thank you.
Kim Guadagno, former Lieutenant Governor. Jersey Matters continues right after this. Still to come on Jersey Matters, everybody's excited about the regrowth of Newark, New Jersey, but what does that mean for the people who live there now? We'll talk about it when Jersey Matters continues.